I'm Tracy, 35. I'm sitting here, scrolling through old pictures from our Hawaii trip, and the memories come flooding back. The look on my family's faces when they saw me at that resort restaurant, it was a mix of shock, confusion, and discomfort. It was the moment I finally stood up for myself after years of being treated differently. Growing up in a middle-class family in Texas, I was the middle child between my older sister Lily, 38, and younger brother Ethan, 32. Our parents, dad, a hard, working engineer, and mom, a schoolteacher, always seemed to have an unspoken hierarchy in the family. Lily was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Ethan was the baby, the one who needed extra protection. And I was just there. When Lily turned 18, she got to go to a top-tier private university. Dad and mom paid for everything: tuition, room, board, and even a monthly allowance. She had a huge graduation party, and Dad gave a tearful speech about how proud they were of her. 3 years later, when it was my turn for college, the conversation was completely different. Mom said, "We can only cover half of your tuition. You'll have to take out loans for the rest and get a part-time job." I didn't complain. I thought they were having financial difficulties. So, I worked 25 hours a week at a local bookstore while keeping up with my full-time studies. Then came Ethan's turn. Suddenly, the money was there again. They paid for his entire education and even bought him a new car. When I mentioned the difference at a family dinner, Mom just said, "You've always been more independent, Tracy. You can handle it." But independence wasn't a choice for me. It was forced upon me. As we entered adulthood, the pattern continued. When Lily got married, Mom and Dad contributed $40,000 to her wedding and helped her and her husband with the down payment on their first house. When Ethan started his career in finance, they paid for a professional wardrobe and subsidized his rent in a fancy neighborhood. Meanwhile, I was still paying off my student loans and living in a small apartment with a roommate. I bought my first car, a used one with high mileage, all by myself. When I needed a root canal that wasn't covered by insurance, I put it on my credit card and worked extra shifts to pay it off. Last year, we were all at our parents' house for Dad's 65th birthday. After dinner, Mom brought up the idea of a family vacation to Hawaii. "Your dad and I have been thinking about it for a long time. Now that Ethan has this great new job, it's the perfect time to celebrate," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. I was thrilled. I had 2 weeks of vacation time saved up and was looking forward to finally feeling included in the family. But then, Mom dropped the bombshell. "We're covering the trip for Ethan to celebrate his new job, and of course, for Lily and her husband since they've been so stressed with their new business. You're welcome to join us, Tracy, if you can pay your own way. It's about $5,000 per person, but it includes almost everything." The room went silent. $5,000 was way out of my budget, especially after the dental work I'd just had. I said I couldn't afford it, and Dad, with a sigh of relief, said they'd still love to have me, but understood. The next day, I called my best friend, Mia. She was furious. "They're being so unfair. It's obvious they're playing favorites," she said. I still tried to make excuses for them, saying maybe they were really tight on money. But Mia pointed out that if they were, they wouldn't be taking a luxury vacation to Hawaii. And then I found out they were even paying for Ethan's girlfriend, Sarah, to go. It felt like a knife in my heart. I was so angry that I started thinking about how I could change the situation. A week later, Mom mentioned in a phone call that they got a great deal on the trip through Dad's company discount program. I started researching it online and found out that it was available to immediate family members. I remembered an old college friend, Lisa, who worked at the same company. I hesitated at first, but then I decided that I couldn't keep accepting this unequal treatment. I called Lisa and she was happy to help. She explained how the discount worked and gave me the code. Just then, Ethan called to check on me and mentioned how excited Sarah was to go to Hawaii. That was the last straw. I immediately booked the exact same resort for the exact same dates as them, but with a better room and at a significant discount. Instead of $5,000, I paid around $3,000, dipping into my savings. That evening, I met my new boyfriend, Jake. We'd been dating for about 4 months. I told him about my plan, and he was very supportive. He'd also grown up in a family where his older brother was favored, so he understood exactly how I felt. He even offered to come with me to Hawaii, which made the trip seem less like an act of defiance and more like a chance for a healing journey. Over the next few weeks, I prepared for the trip while pretending to my family that I had accepted my exclusion. 2 weeks before the trip, Lily invited me to lunch. We talked about her business and my job at first, but then she brought up the Hawaii trip. She said Mom was sorry I couldn't come, but that money was tight. I couldn't hold back anymore. I told her about all the times I'd been treated differently, like the college tuition, the wedding expenses, and the housing assistance. Lily got defensive and said our parents had always treated us equally. I then pulled out my phone and showed her the facts. College tuition, Lily 100% covered, me 50%, Ethan 100%. Wedding expenses, Lily $40,000, me nothing. Housing assistance, Lily down payment help, me zero, Ethan subsidized rent. Lily was shocked and said I was overreacting. But then she revealed that Mom and Dad had helped her with a $30,000 business loan last year, while I'd asked for help with my credit card debt and was turned down. The day before our flight to Hawaii, I was filled with doubt and anxiety. What if this backfired? What if I ruined the vacation and damaged my relationship with my family? But I knew I had to do it. Jake and I arrived in Hawaii 3 days before my family. The resort was amazing, and I couldn't help but think how much I wished my family had thought I deserved to be there with them. We met a wonderful server named Lucy at the resort. She told us about her own experience of being the neglected child in her family and how she'd moved to Hawaii to start a new life. Her story made me feel less alone. On the day my family was supposed to arrive, I was nervous but determined. We had breakfast at the resort restaurant, and when they walked in, I took a deep breath and called out, "Mom, Dad, over here." The look on their faces was priceless. Ethan was the first to recover and gave me a big hug. Mom tried to make it seem like a coincidence, but I told her it wasn't. At dinner that night, the tension was palpable. Lily asked why I hadn't told them I was coming. I said I wanted them to experience what it felt like to be excluded. I laid out all the facts about the differential treatment over the years. Dad looked genuinely shocked, and Mom got defensive. But then, Ethan spoke up and said he'd never realized how different things were for me. Sarah also came to my defense, saying she'd experienced similar favoritism in her family. After dinner, Ethan pulled me aside and told me that Mom and Dad had helped Lily buy a vacation home in Colorado last year. I was heartbroken. That evening, Mom asked to talk to me. She said she didn't understand why I'd done this during a family vacation. I told her there was never a good time to bring it up, and I needed their full attention. I also explained that my independence was a result of their lack of support. Mom finally admitted that they might have made some mistakes. She said they'd always thought I was strong enough to handle things on my own. I told her I just wanted equal treatment, not identical, but at least have my needs considered fairly. Dad also talked to me later. He said he'd been thinking about what I'd said and realized that he'd misinterpreted my resilience as not needing support. He promised to be more aware of the pattern. The rest of the vacation was a mix of awkwardness and progress. We went on a few family outings, and slowly, the tension started to ease. Before we left, we went on a sunset cruise, which felt like a symbol of the changes starting to happen in our family. When we got back home, I invited my family to dinner at my apartment. There were still some awkward moments at first, but I noticed some subtle changes. Ethan asked about my job and really listened. Lily mentioned that we should get together for a girls' day soon. And Mom and Dad announced that they were setting up equal trust funds for each of us to use for whatever we needed. It wasn't an overnight fix, and there are still times when the old patterns resurface. But we're all trying. And thanks to that trip to Hawaii, I finally found my voice in the family. Sometimes you have to take a stand, even if it's scary, to get the fair treatment you deserve.